This is the F-Type Project 7, named after Jaguar's dim and distant 7 Le Mans victories and loaded with styling motifs that hark back to the D-Type. But it's also re-engineered to be lighter, faster and sharper for the here and now by Jaguar's new SVO department. It's thorough work. For example, the front springs are 80% stiffer, there are new suspension knuckles to radically increase camber, and the dampers are completely retuned and offer a wider step between normal and dynamic settings. There are new anti-roll bars, new and much grippier Conti Force contact tyres and standard fit ceramic brakes. Plus the front splitter and fixed rear wing now create some genuine downforce, and it's 45 kilos lighter than an F-Type R convertible. It's a curious mix of old school evocation and serious and highly focused engineering then. So how does that cocktail come together?
Of course, the problem with throwing a load of D-Type styling cues at an F-Type is there's a danger this Project 7 could become some sort of pastiche. And the other danger, I think, with all this talk of fast 735 Nürburgring times, grip, more grippy tyres, is that playfulness that is so part of the F-Type R could disappear. So what is this thing like? Does it manage to tread that fine line between a bit of nostalgia evoking that emotion but still retain the fun that is such a part of the F-Type formula? Should we say yes? Well, I think first impressions are that the car does retain a lot of the F-Type feel. In fact, I thought it might be a bit rawer than it actually is. The ride is pretty supple. The car feels lighter. There's a little bit more edge to it, but by no means is this a proper sort of road racer of a car with a GT3 style ride and everything else. The engine's only tweaked by, what, 25 horsepower? Up to 575 PS. You can feel that it is a bit sharper. The noise still completely outrageous. And there is just a bit more edge through some of the quicker corners. We're on the hairpins now. But through some of the quicker corners, when you've got the car in the middle of the corner, it's more reactive to the throttle. So there is just a bit more sharpness on this car, a bit more grip. It still loves to oversteer. But away from these hairpins, the car just feels a bit more tied down and a bit more hooked up, really. So, although it's still got the playfulness that you want, everything's just elevated enough that you can enjoy the car not just when the tyres are on fire. So the initial signs are very, very good on these hairpins. The car's still got that adjustability, that sort of hooligan side to it. But earlier on the quicker corners, just felt a bit more stable, a bit more serious. It's a fun thing, this, but I think to really get under the skin of it, to see how they've elevated it from the base car, we need to take it to a track, drive it properly at its limits. Okay, this should be the Project 7's real home environment. We're on the track, we're on the Navarra circuit. Got it all to ourselves, which is absolutely mega, I have to say. We haven't got a lot of time, but we never have a lot of time on these things. So on the road, the car feels sharper, a bit more aggressive than the F-Type, but it's not night and day different, and I guess that's a bit of a disappointment. There's just not quite the gritty feedback that you get from the best cars. We want to see if there's any benefits to these new suspension parts and feel the grip of these new tyres, so we'll try and keep it relatively hooked up. It still errs towards oversteer out of all the slower corners and even the quicker ones. You feel the weight and it starts to overwhelm the rear, but I would say there's definitely better turning than the normal F-Type, even the coupe. The car feels more agile and there's more mid-corner stability as well. The car doesn't just fall into oversteer and then you can't recover it. It feels like you've got options and that the car's hanging on. But it's still a heavy car and you still have to be really, really on top of it. If you try and use the performance, you just end up oversteering everywhere. Does it feel a big step on? Okay, so the gearbox and engine feel a bit sharper. There's just a bit more going on. There's a bit more power. The car digs a bit more for grip and traction. But the DNA of the car is the same. It's unmistakable. And that means it isn't nothing like as accurate as a GT3, nothing like as track focused, I guess. It's still just a hoot, really. There are tangible benefits, I think, in grip and that mid-corner stability. That means you can hustle it a bit more on the way into a corner, which is fun, but you're still aware there's a lot of momentum going on. You know, into here, you turn in on the brakes and you feel the weight. And then in the slow corners, tiniest bit of throttle, and you're straight away having to get that angle of lock-up. Through here, third gear, still wants to oversteer. It's a fun thing. It ain't no GT3, that's for sure.
Maybe the almost incomparable GT3 is the wrong benchmark for this limited run collector's car. But regardless of whether all 250 have been sold, this is a statement of intent from the new SVO department. And this first drive suggests they've made gains in every area without creating something genuinely startling. For example, the brilliant new Amg Gts exhibits such focus combined with brilliant usability. The Aston V12 Vantage S Roadster has an even sweeter balance and feels bespoke, a cut above. And the 911 Turbo is beamed in from a different planet in performance terms. Project 7 is a huge amount of fun, but I can't help thinking they could and should have gone further still to create something really special. For more videos like this, subscribe to Evo's YouTube channel.